betrayal didn't come from across the border, it came from across the table. President Ibrahim Traoré thought he had secured Burkina Faso's future, but behind palace walls, one of his closest allies was selling him out. Military secrets were leaking, foreign agents were closing in, and the plan? Take him out before the elections. This is the untold story of a silent war, a trap set in whispers, a country hunted from the shadows, and a president who turned betrayal into a weapon. Welcome to the world of research. Welcome to the large family of wisdom in narrations. The night was quiet in Ouaga, too quiet. President Ibrahim Traoré stood by the palace window. The city slept, but in the stillness, he felt it. Something was off, a tension in the air, like a storm waiting to break. Something was wrong. For weeks, pieces had started to fall apart in strange ways. Military operations were being exposed, hidden meetings were compromised, enemies were showing up in places they shouldn't be. They were moving with too much precision, as if they had a map, his map. This wasn't bad luck. This was betrayal. And Ibrahim felt it deep in his chest, in the space where loyalty used to live. Someone close to him, very close, was a traitor. Burkina Faso had finally started to break free. Ibrahim had made enemies doing what his people had long hoped for. He had expelled the foreign troops. He reclaimed the nation's gold. He gave the people back their land, their voice, their pride. But the old powers were furious. They were used to holding the strings. Now that he had cut them, they were trying to tie new ones, in silence, in darkness, through spies hiding behind suits and fake smiles. Then one night, everything shifted. A young officer, Captain Naba Zongo, sent an urgent message to the palace. He'd been assigned to monitor radio frequencies in the north, routine until he intercepted a strange signal. It was hidden inside what looked like a farming report. Boring stuff. But it wasn't about crops. It was about war, maps, coordinates, names, military secrets, information only the president's most trusted team should have known. That night, under complete lockdown, Ibrahim called a secret meeting. Midnight, no phones, no outsiders, only the few he trusted to breathe in that room. The tension could be sliced with a whisper. "Zongo," he said quietly, "put the papers on the table." They all leaned in. The room went still. The name at the top of the intelligence leak, Colonel Ouattara, an old friend, a man who once took a bullet beside Ibrahim, a man who now sat beside him in briefings, a man who laughed with him at their children's birthdays, trusted with everything, including the country's most sensitive defenses. The air turned cold. Zongo, one of Ibrahim's most loyal officers, said it first. He's been feeding them for months. Ibrahim didn't flinch. His heart felt like it had been ripped from his chest, but his face stayed calm. "No one moves," he said. "No one arrests him." The room looked confused. "We wait. We watch." He took a breath, slow and steady. "If there's a snake in this house, we don't kill it yet." He looked every man in the eye. "First, we follow it to the nest." The next few days felt like walking through fire. Ibrahim went about his duties like nothing had changed. He gave speeches, shook hands, smiled for cameras. But inside, he was watching. Every gesture, every pause, every glance from Colonel Ouattara. And Ouattara smiled too, like a man with no weight. Too calm, too clean. Behind the scenes, the real war had begun. Captain Zongo and a hand-picked team tracked Colonel Ouattara's every move. They tapped his calls, followed his car, marked every meeting, every handshake. Then came the break. Ouattara left the palace after midnight. No guards, no driver, just a black car into the dark. Every time, same route. Every time, same house. Near the French embassy, it looked empty, but Ibrahim had seen enough to know what a safe house looked like. They planted a camera, a hidden one, across the street. And then, truth. On one cold night, the camera caught everything. Ouattara entering the house. Inside, two foreign men in suits, one American, one European. They handed him a black suitcase. He gave them a folder. Inside that folder, the president's private travel plans for the next month. It was the proof Ibrahim needed. He watched the footage in the dark, jaw tight, fists clenched. The man who once stood beside him in war was selling him like cattle. But Ibrahim didn't rage. He got smart. He picked up the phone, called Zongo. It's time. The next morning, Colonel Ouattara was invited to a meeting, top floor of the defense building. He walked in like always, calm, confident, smiling. But this time, there were no warm greetings, no handshakes, just 10 soldiers in full gear. And at the center of the room, President Ibrahim Traoré himself, standing still like a mountain. Colonel Ouattara froze. The smile that had been so easy to wear faded in seconds. "You were my brother," Ibrahim said. His voice didn't shout. It thundered. "Why, Ouattara?" Ouattara said nothing. He couldn't. His mouth moved slightly, but no words came. Ibrahim stepped closer. "You sold this country. For what?" he said. "Dollars? Promises? You really think they'll protect you now?" Still no answer. Captain Zongo opened the black suitcase on the table. Inside, stacks of money, tracking devices, a USB drive filled with betrayal. "You're not going to prison," Ibrahim said coldly. "You're going to talk." And with that, the room went dead silent. A storm was brewing, and it wasn't outside the palace. Colonel Ouattara now sat alone in a small concrete room underground. No windows, no clock, no sleep, just silence. He looked nothing like the man he once was. The polished uniform was gone, the fire in his eyes extinguished. Now, he looked like a man running from his own shadow. Behind a one-way mirror, President Ibrahim Traoré stood, watching. His face revealed nothing, but inside, his heart ached. This man, this traitor, was once family. They had eaten together, fought side by side, shared stories of pain and hope, and now they were enemies. Captain Zongo entered the room and dropped the USB on the table between them. "We opened it," he said. "Every file, every name, every secret you handed over." Ouattara stared at the floor. "You don't have to talk," Zongo added. "But once they hear you've been caught, they'll leave you behind. You're nothing to them now." "They don't care," he continued, voice lower. "We're your only chance." Time dragged on. Hours passed. The silence grew heavier. The walls seemed to press in. Then finally, Ouattara broke. His voice trembled. "They came to me a year ago," he said. "Americans, Europeans. First they flattered me, then the money came, then promises, a house in Paris, a post with the UN power." He paused. "After Ibrahim fell, they wanted Burkina Faso back," he added. "Its gold, its land, its soul. And I believed them. I thought they'd protect me." His voice dropped to a whisper. "But now I see. They were only using me." Later, Ibrahim walked into the room. He sat across from the man who once stood with him in battle. They didn't speak for a long moment. Then Ibrahim leaned forward. "You didn't just betray me," he said, voice calm but firm. "You betrayed our people, the mothers in the villages, the young soldiers on the front lines, the children whose futures you traded for promises." Ouattara couldn't meet his eyes. "I'm sorry," he whispered. Ibrahim stood. "You'll answer for what you've done, but first, you'll help us stop them." And so began a new war, a war fought in shadows, with silence, deception, and patience. Using Ouattara's contacts, Ibrahim's team began feeding false intelligence to the foreign agents. Every message was a trap, every lie a weapon. Every silence, a move on the chessboard. Embassy staff began disappearing. One agent was quietly deported, another exposed to the press, a third simply vanished. Burkina Faso was no longer the prey, it had become the hunter. And at the center of this silent war stood Ibrahim Traoré, calm, brave, and unshaken, a leader not only with a weapon, but with a purpose. He was no longer just defending territory, he was protecting truth, he was protecting the people. The lion had awoken, and it was watching. The days that followed were not quiet. They burned. Every moment felt like walking through fire. President Ibrahim Traoré knew he could not rest. The enemy was powerful, wealthy, silent. But now, they were also blind. With Colonel Ouattara's cooperation, a new war began, this time with lies as weapons. They crafted fake documents, invented plans, even forged military routes. And the foreign spies, they swallowed every word. They still believed Ouattara was theirs. They thought the game was under control, but it was all a trap. Captain Dongo ran the operation from deep within the Ministry of Defense. Maps stretched across the walls, radios buzzed without pause, lights blinked like heartbeat monitors of a country at war. Each night, Ibrahim came in secret, quiet, watchful, guiding every move. Then, the moment came. A foreign agent, using the name Reed, contacted Ouattara. He claimed to be an agricultural advisor, but his message was clear. They were ready for the next phase. The meeting was set for midnight. A safe house just outside the capital. It was urgent, and it could only mean one thing. They were planning something big, something dangerous. Ibrahim's eyes burned with fire. "This ends now," he said. He ordered a silent operation. No uniforms, no sirens, only shadows. At midnight, Ouattara entered the safe house, a mic hidden under his collar, a tiny tracker woven into his belt. His hands were shaking. He knew if this failed, it would be the end, but he owed this to his country. Inside, Reed and another European agent were waiting. "You've been quiet," Reed said coldly. "Is the president getting suspicious?" Ouattara kept his face still. "He trusts me," he lied. "I brought the next phase documents." He handed them a fake folder. Reed leaned closer. His voice dropped. "You need to be ready. It's time to finish him. The president must fall before the elections." Outside the safe house, Ibrahim listened through the headset. His jaw clenched. That was the final proof. He gave the order. Like ghosts in the night, the team moved in. Doors burst open. Guns were drawn. Reed and his partner froze. It was over in seconds. "You're under arrest," Captain Zongo said. Reed snapped back. "You have no right. We're diplomats." "Not tonight," Zongo replied. "Tonight, you're caught." As the agents were dragged out, Ibrahim stepped into the room. No guards, no weapons, just him. Reed looked at him with rage. "You think you've won?" Ibrahim's voice was calm, unshaken. "I didn't win. Burkina Faso did." The world woke up to headlines that shook continents. Foreign spies caught in Burkina Faso espionage plot. Traoré exposes secret plan to destabilize government embassies went silent. Governments scrambled to cover the truth. But it was too late. The man who led the sting wasn't just a president. He was a soldier, a patriot, a lion who would not kneel. That morning, as the sun rose over Ouagadougou, it seemed brighter, warmer, like the land itself was breathing easier. Crowds gathered outside government buildings, radios buzzed in market stalls, people whispered in alleyways and shouted in the streets. He caught them. He stopped them. He saved us. Ibrahim Traoré had done what few believed possible. He didn't just expose traitors and spies. He defended the soul of a nation. Burkina Faso, free, awake, and no longer afraid. Inside the Kosiam Palace, President Ibrahim Traoré stood alone on the rooftop. The city of Ouagadougou stretched beneath him, still awake, still alert. He didn't smile. His face remained calm. But inside, there was fire. Not the fire of revenge, not even anger. This was duty. He had walked through shadows, exposed betrayal, fought off powerful forces without a single shot fired in public. But he knew it wasn't over. The war for Burkina Faso's soul was still ahead. That evening, he called for a national address. No speechwriters, no polished stage, just him. He stepped to the podium in his military uniform. Not the garb of a ruler, but of a servant. It was simple, sharp, worn with pride. The entire country watched, on screens, through radios, in whispers around dim lanterns. He spoke slowly. "I speak to you tonight," he began, "not as a president, but as your brother, your son, your soldier." His voice was firm, his gaze unshakable. Foreign powers tried to poison our nation from the inside. They used one of our own to steal our plans, our dreams, our future. He paused. The air was heavy. They wanted chaos. They wanted fear. Then he looked straight into the camera. But they failed. And outside, the crowd erupted. Applause, whistles, clapping in homes, markets, and even far-off villages where electricity flickered, but respect burned bright. "I will never sell this country," Ibrahim said, "not for gold, not for deals, not for power. Burkina Faso belongs to its people, and I swear to protect it with my life." He raised his right hand. "This is my oath," he said. "I will never kneel to foreign masters, never again." The words echoed beyond borders, across Africa, across oceans, like thunder. Young leaders listened, activists cheered, and even old skeptics who once questioned him nodded in quiet pride. That night, Ibrahim Traoré became more than a head of state. He became a symbol, a shield, a lion. Later, when the streets of Ouagadougou began to sleep, Ibrahim sat under the stars beside Captain Zongo. "You did well," Ibrahim told him. Zongo smiled, humble. "I followed your lead, sir." Ibrahim looked up at the sky, quiet for a long time. "They'll try again," he said softly. "Maybe with different faces, different plans." "Then we stop them again," Zongo replied, without hesitation. Ibrahim nodded. "Yes, as long as we stand together, they'll never take this land." And with that, the lion rested. But only for a moment, because men like Ibrahim Traoré do not sleep for long. They rise with the people, they fight in silence, and they protect the future with fire in their hearts. Thanks for watching. I wish you better life, foods, and money. Stay in the Big Wins family.